Hi, this is Bruce, and in this video we're going to learn how to animate using 2D transform. Specifically, we can transform scale, rotation, translation, so moving through X and Y. There's also matrix and skew transforms, plus we'll look at how to combine multiple transforms into one style. So let's get started. So you can see here I'm in my Web 2 folder, and I'm going to create a new file, and I'm going to call it 2D_transform.html. I'll hit exclamation point and then bang in order to start the file. And like we did in a previous video, we're going to give it a name, connect a CSS, and get started. So we'll start off by creating a header, and inside that header, let me just flip over here to English, and inside that header we'll create a nav, and then we'll create 3 nav items, and we'll link one back to this page, one back to Web 2, and then I guess I'll link the other one back to the micromedia.vanier.college homepage. Let's add a footer down at the bottom. And let's add a main section. Inside that main section, we will add an article. And inside that article, we'll add an H4 and then a paragraph. Inside this paragraph, let's add an image, and let's use the HTML5 image for this, and let's give it an ID of HTML5. So now we'll link up our CSS style sheets. So we've got the styles reset, and then let's make a new style sheet for the transforms. And inside here, we're going to make a selector of that HTML5 element that we just added. So it's the image of the HTML5. And we'll add a pseudo element. So on hover, so in other words, when we hover over top of our HTML5 element, then we will do a transform, rotate, and let's rotate 45 degrees. I think that's how it works. So we'll upload this. You can see it's uploaded. And we'll come back to 2D transform and link up that style sheet. Save that, and we shall upload this. And then if we come over here and go 2D_transform, it didn't find it. 2D transform. So let me rename it to transform. And we'll upload this. And there you go. So you can see we've got our page that we've set up, and if I hover over, nothing happens. Let's just check the inspector and see what's going on here. So no errors in the console. And if I inspect this, I can see we've got it. And if I set this to hover, I can see I haven't done the 45, the rotation in correctly. So if I put degrees in here, or DEG, now we can see it's correct. So let's go back and make that change, and we'll upload that, and we'll come back here and refresh. And now when I hover over top of the HTML5 element, you can see that it rotates 45 degrees. Or in order to get that to animate, we have to add our transition. So we're going to add an HTML5 selector, so based on the ID of the element. And here we're going to add transition, and we want to do transform. So we're transitioning the transform and not the opacity. And let's put it for 0.5 seconds. And we'll upload that and refresh here. And now we can see when we hover over top of the HTML5 element, it does indeed rotate. So let's add a second animation here. So we'll come down here to this article, and I'm going to put in an HR. And then I'm going to add another article. And inside that, I'm going to add an H4. And we'll give it a title of Transform Scale. So I'll add a paragraph and an image tag. And we'll set our image to be equal to the CSS3 image this time. And let's give it an ID of CSS3. And we'll upload that. So we'll flip back here to the CSS. We'll add another selector on CSS3. And because it's the same, we want to add the same transition transform for now, what we can do is we can add another selector and apply the same property or style. So CSS3, and this time, because we want to do scale and not rotate, we're going to add another selector with a pseudo element of hover, and we're going to transform the scale. And what we want to do is we'll transform it to 2, so 200%. And if we come back here and refresh, we can see that doesn't work. Let's just inspect this. So we force the state to hover, and we can see it didn't upload, or the style didn't get properly. See, oh, because it's CSS3 hover. And we'll upload that again and refresh. And there you can see, as we hover over, it does indeed scale up to 200%. And let's add one more. So I'm going to add an HR, or a horizontal rule, and then we'll add another article. And add an H4, a heading, add a paragraph, and inside the paragraph we're going to put another image. And so for the image we're going to put a car. And the H4, I should have done plus and then the paragraph. But here we're going to do transform. Oh, let's just put translate, because that's what we're doing. We're doing transform translate, and we'll upload that and refresh here, and you can see we've got the car right here. What we want to do is we want to translate it, or we want to move it. And this is going to be slightly different, but we'll start off with this, and then I'll show you the problem with doing it this way. So car, and I don't think I added the ID, so we're going to have to go back to that. And we can actually add it right here. So car, and then car hover. And we'll do transform translateX, right? So if you remember, X is horizontal, Y is a vertical, and we'll do let's do 900 pixels for now. We'll upload that. Let's make sure that we add an ID to the car. We'll upload that. And if we come back here, hover over top of the car, you can see it does indeed move over to the right. But if we look at what's going on, right, we can see as soon as my mouse is no longer hovering over the car because the car is translating or moving to the right, then it comes back right away. And so you can see we can get kind of a weird glitch or bug if we do it this way. So what we're going to do is we're going to introduce JavaScript in order to get it to move or to translate on a click. So let's go back to our CSS. We'll remove the on hover, and we'll just put a class of move right. So let's create a JavaScript file now, and we'll call it 2D transform.js. And we'll double slashes is comment in JavaScript. And we can do a console log. Making sure we add the semicolon at the end, and we'll upload that. And then let's connect that JavaScript. So down here at the bottom of our HTML, or at the bottom of our page, just before the closing body tag, we will add a script with a source of js/2dtransform.js. And we'll upload that. And if we come over here and refresh, and if we go into our console, so if you don't have the inspector open, you can right click and click on inspect, and then you should be able to see the elements. And then if you click on console, you should be able to see whether or not your JavaScript is loaded. So now what we're going to do, and I believe this is a review for most of you, is we're going to create a selector. So document, query selector, and in this case we want to select the car. So let's let car equal that selection. And now that we've got that selector for the car, let's add an event listener. Car, add event listener, click, and let's add an anonymous function. And it's an event, and then we'll open and close our curly braces. And so in this case, let's just console, let's log to the console the ID of the thing that we clicked on, and then refreshed. And you can see here from line 9 of our transform.javascript, we're getting the name of car. But what we want to do is this add class, and the class I believe that we want to add is move right. In fact, I think it's this class list add. Eventually I'll get it. Let's see if that works. So if we look at the element, let me just refresh. So you can see here we've got our car, and it has an ID of car. If I click on it, then now you can see it's added an ID, or sorry, it's added a class of move to the right, and it's translated, or it's moved over to the right 900 pixels. So now what we'd like to do is have it move back. So let me just take a look at it one more time. Boom, to the right, we can see it moves over. So now if we click it, what we'd like to do for the second time is to move back. There's a couple of different ways we could do this. Probably the easiest is if we do toggle. So we're toggling the class to the move to the right. And we can comment this out now because we no longer need it. So if we click it, it adds the move right class. We click it again and it removes it. So it's toggling it, or if it's not there, it adds it. If it's there, it removes it. So I hope this helps, and we'll see you in the next video where we present your challenge. Hi, this is Bruce, and in this video we're going to learn how to animate using 2D transform.